You know shit's getting serious when the Cornwell air hammer comes out. Make it brand used again. Sprocket's scalded on. Gonna have to heat it up and beat it out. If that doesn't work, I got a diesel truck out there. We'll figure something out. .300EX shock I cobbled on there. It sits about 6 feet higher. It was so high that the chain was pinched between the roller and the swing arm slider. Eric says he thought it set up a little higher. I guess it really does. But once I sit on it, it's normal. Alright. I just took the top end off. See, it has a Wiseco piston. There's a little bit of wear on that. Looks like she ran hard. Standard sizing. That's cool. Anyway, the problem with this motor is busted the bottom of the case out where the shifter rod rides through. The shift shaft. So, what I got to do here is completely tear this thing down and swap cases out. I got a brand new set of, well, brand new to me, set of cases for this thing. So I basically got to pull the crank out and swap all the gears over and everything else. So a set of matching cases. Getting kind of hard to find them things in good condition. They want a pretty good bit of money on eBay, but I found them locally to me for about $100. You see the typical clutch cover on these has been welded. They usually crack whole way down around, but that's because people don't put this bolt in up here. I guess it puts extra stress whenever it kicks. Puts stress on that and pushes it outwards and cracks it, I guess. But I'm getting ready to pull this thing off here. Now, most of the time when you pull these side cases off, you always pull these water pumps out, because when Yamaha designed them, the impeller actually deteriorates. The antifreeze eats it away, makes it brittle, soft. And what happens is they use a press fit end onto a knurled shaft, and then when that thing gets old, the shaft just spins inside the impeller, so it doesn't pump any water. So a lot of guys overheat their stuff and they blow it up because they don't even realize it's not working. So a couple people sell built aluminum ones, or you can still buy original Yamaha ones for about 60 bucks with a new seal. So it's not too bad. It's nice that Yamaha actually still makes parts for these things. Unlike Honda, you can't really get too much stuff for them. You gotta really search around anymore. Prices are going through the roof. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing apart, and I'm gonna order a new piston for it. Probably take it to 20 over because the cylinder looks like it had some wear on it. And then put a new Wiseco in it. My best guess. But alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get the bolts off this thing, and we'll see what we get into here when I pull this cover off. I'll take a little look inside this clutch cover here. Everything looks pretty nice. I just took out the bolts for the cover on the clutch assembly, so through the magic of the internet, maybe this thing will come apart. Maybe not. There we go. Kind of hard to work without a tripod. Probably shouldn't be doing this like this, but I can't even get it one-handed. Let's see here. Boy, that'd really suck to lose an arm. In my trade anyway, I'd probably have to retire. A little push pin here. There should be a ball bearing inside there. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Maybe not. Probably not. Anyhow, well, guys, forget to put them in. These clutches actually look pretty good. A lot of meat left on them yet. Oh yeah, not too bad. You can see it's been sitting a while. Got some rust buildup on the plates. I'll probably have to clean them off with some steel wool and some WD-40. Get the scale off, that way they don't wear off premature on the fibers. A lot of times these things sit, you know, when you go to pull the clutch in, put it in gear, it's just bam, it's like right in gear, you don't have any clutch. So this is why they get sediment on them and they rust. And a lot of times, actually this clutch basket here, you can see Doesn't look like there's too much grooves wore into it. They get grooves wore in from the drive, and they'll catch. These clutch discs will sit inside these grooves, and when you release it, the clutches won't move, so they won't release. So you got to buy a new clutch basket. But that's a story for another day. I actually have a clutch basket here that's really grooved out. I'll show you one time, and then maybe a future video. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull this all apart and flip it over and pull the stator and stuff off and get to the meat of the project and get this thing split open. Alright. Quick side note, when you go to take this off, this does spin normally. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. It's always good to use an impact. And what I do, I put the clutch basket back in there and I put a screwdriver in between these gears so it doesn't move. And then blow this thing off. Really important to make sure you're going the right way. Sometimes they're reverse thread on some motors, but this one's normal. You can see I'm spinning it right off. But yeah, if you don't have an impact, that's really going to be pretty hard to get off. You're going to put some good leverage onto it. So you're going to have to jam something in there pretty good. But with the impact, it makes it pretty easy. So, alright. Off to the magneto side here. If you don't have a flywheel puller, I'm going to show you a little trick to get flywheels off. This works on pretty much every single one of them I've ever tried. On all kinds of models, ATVs, dirt bikes, etc. Now I already busted this one off, but normally you would take this nut off of here and you can see, well, maybe you can't see. On the inside of there, there's threads all the way around. Sometimes they're reverse threads, sometimes they're not. Anyway, you screw a puller down into there and then it pushes on the crank and pops that flywheel off. Now, if you don't have a puller, what you do is you loosen this up and then put it flush with the top of the crank. That way, I'm gonna show you why. That way you're gonna hit this with a hammer. But if you have access to wiring that comes through here, this helps a lot. Move your wires out of the way and get yourself, helps if you have two people. Get yourself a buddy and put a flathead down in here and gently pry. See, mine's already loose, but gently pry up on this, a little bit of pressure. Now obviously it's not going to move because you haven't busted it free yet, but if you put a little bit of pressure on that and you tap it while your buddy pushes, or you try to do it all by yourself, which I do it myself, a little bit tricky, but you tap on this, and if you keep this bolt flush, you're not going to maul the end up. And if you always want to go a little bit down further even. So if you do maul the end up, you can still clean it up when you turn it back off with something. But that's a little trick to getting flywheels off of stuff. Sometimes they're a little stubborn. You always want to move these wires out of the way so you don't pry on the wires and damage them. But, oh, maybe it won't come off. Oh, it's a tight one. I haven't had it off yet. Let's see if I can get it off here. Oh boy. A little crusty in there. All the magnets are in one. And a little bit of rust on them. They'll clean up in the parts washer, but all the magnets are in place. That's the important thing. This motor did run. So. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this apart and split these cases. Well, I'll tell you what. I finally got this carrier off this axle. Look at what I had to do to this thing. I cut it with a grinding wheel in half the whole way down through. Hit it with a chisel to pry it open, and then beat the living hell out of it with a ball-peen hammer. My God, I haven't mauled the threads over on here. I gotta run a die down that thing and clean those things up. But I just got this carrier somewhat clean. I'm gonna change these bearings out, put new seals in it, and then paint this thing up, cast coat aluminum. It'll match the powder coat. I wasn't able to get this out for powder coat when I got all my stuff done because I couldn't get the damn axle apart. That carrier was really screwing me. I'm telling you, I went through 2 bottles of map gas trying to get that off. I damn near had it so hot yesterday. See how it bent? It actually started melting away. The outside started getting so hot it started deforming. So I ended up hitting it with a hammer and breaking half of it apart. But yeah, what a pain in the ass. Yeah, I got that thing all put in the frame. Got the swing arm on, got the rear shock just sitting on there. I gotta bolt it in yet. Well, tighten the bolts. Me being a dumbass, I forgot to put the clutch actuator on there whenever I put the side cover on. So now I gotta take the side case back off, take the clutch springs out and bolts, pull that rod and ball bearing out, stick that actuator rod back in and put it all back together. Every time I work on something, I do things 6 times over. But that's okay, because I make sure everything's tight and on there, I guess. Got the motor mounts all cleaned up. I should have polished them, but they'll be okay. Kind of weird looking. I don't know what the hell that is. It's where my wire wheel kind of burned it. I'll probably take a little Dremel over that and polish it up. There's my custom bracket I built for my DG pipe. All you guys know that run DGs, they don't even line up right. Don't know why that is. Yeah, alright. I'm going to go ahead and get this axle cleaned up and we'll get it on here, and I'm probably going to put some inverts on the front of this thing. Alright. Just want to show you a little bit of the restoration work that goes into some of these projects I do. Now this here, both of these scoops on this TRI-Z have real heavy oxidation. And you can see where I've cleaned it off. All you do is you take a razor blade and just go back and forth lightly. You can see it comes right off. Kind of hard to do one-handed. You don't want to go too hard on it. You don't want to scratch the living heck out of it. You do a light scratch off and you can see the color comes back. Now what I like to do is I get all the heavy oxidation off with a razor blade, and then I get some real fine sandpaper, like 3000 grit, maybe even finer depending, and I'll wet sand this down. I like to use WD-40 even when I'm sanding it, and I'll get it real super clean, and I'll take a Dremel and I'll buff it, and these things will come out like brand new again, considering how, you know, look how bad they are. Real heavy oxidation. Oh, look, you just take that right across there like that. Look at all that coming right off. Yeah, I mean, DC Plastics makes shrouds. They're like 60 bucks. You gotta drill them, they don't fit right. Color doesn't match. And you can see, actually that powder coat really doesn't even match his color, but at least these shrouds should match the Mer plastic. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, she's coming along. I put the motor in it there. You can see she's dirty on the motor, but I'll clean it up once I get it all together. Swing arms on, bearings are in. Kind of skipped a few parts there, but alright, I'm going to get these shrouds cleaned up and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Well, got the carrier painted up, put some new axle bearings in it. Painted the axle a little bit. I got to do a couple more coats on it and then mask everything off and paint the hubs and do all that fun stuff. I couldn't get this hub off. Well, I really didn't try too hard, but it's pretty stuck on there. I don't need to take it off or anything, so I'm not even going to mess with it. I figured maybe ride it, it'll wear itself loose like everything else. So, got the shock all redone on there. Put a shock wire over it. I got to tighten all the bolts up. I just have everything sitting on there right now. Yeah. Coming along. Slowly but surely. Just waiting on some of this paint to dry. Literally staring at it, waiting it on it to dry. I think I might be getting a little bit goofy in the head from smelling all these paint fumes, but people have been telling me that all the years, so it's got to be more than just the paint fumes. Anyway, alright, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next here. Probably put the tank on and stuff. We'll see what happens. I'm going to put the inverts on for sure, so that's going to be cool. I still got to figure out how I'm going to mount the headlights, or if I'm just going to go with like an LED set or something. We'll figure it out as we go. Well, I got the forks upside down here. Just drain out the old fluid. Actually didn't look too bad. It's pretty clean. I'm just going to refill it. The book calls for 11.3 ounces of ATF or 10W weight oil. Yeah, look at some of the rust on this chrome. I'm going to try to take some steel wool over it and see if I can clean it up a bit, but once that's pitted, it really doesn't help. I'm going to parch wash these things right here, and I'm going to do them flat black. Might do them gloss black, but I think flat would look better. Alright, I'm going to get these cleaned up, and I got an old pair on there now just to hold the front end up. You can see she's coming along pretty good. Alright. Well, here she is. all put back together. Final product. I took it down the alley once for a little rip ski. Got dirt all over it. Sucks. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. What do you guys think? I took them Doros off the back and put these other ones on. This is what it came with originally. It sits up nice and high now. I'll save those Doros for my 86 for the track. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have to get a little bit of a run video here. Do a cold start here real quick. Choke it. Cold. Cold as can be, huh? You can hold the pipe all you want, but it's freezing. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know. I'll put this on run just in case it does work. It wasn't working for me before though. Do a little bit of prime. 1, 2. I had to choke it. Gonna kill myself in here. Final product. I took it down the alley once for a little rip ski. Got dirt all over it. Sucks. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. What do you guys think? I took them Doros off the back and put these other ones on. This is what it came with originally. It sits up nice and high now. I'll save those Doros for my 86 for the track. Yeah, it's pretty cool.